Hello, everybody. Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome back to the Believe in Iowa State podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Carter.
And I'm your host, Cody Vansylalom.
Cody, welcome back. Hopefully, your first week of work went pretty smooth.
Yep, my first week of actually adulting and being in the adult real world was certainly a fun one. And I mean, the job I'm at is like something that kind of falls in line with what I like studied for. So it's good so far. And I mean, yeah, so it's at a time where it's like it's so weird because it's like, yeah, I get to sleep in a little bit, but at the same time, certain like I don't get out of work till like almost basically when the sun goes down. So it's like it's gonna feel weird and getting like adjusted to it. But I think I could be like I think real quickly I'm adjusting to it, and it's a nice little change of pace. So we'll see how that affects, especially at least I'll have it about a month before football season kind of like gets going, and then yeah.
All right. Well, there goes an update from Believe in Iowa State's own Cody Vansylalom about how his job was going.
Yeah.
So, today I had on Alec Bussey from 24/7 on Thursday. If you missed that one is in the feeds. We go in depth and talk about their entire roster, offense and defense, and special teams. Today, we are going to be talking about the most intriguing games of the season.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I think for like intriguing games, like what's kind of like the criteria or like we want to set for ourselves. I think a lot of people when it comes to intriguing games, they have different criteria. So I'm wondering like what is like a personal thing that like sets
so,
up like say your intriguing game, maybe something different from me or for somebody
so
else.
for my intriguing game, I think if it's like a game sandwiched in between a let that like let's say if it's an intriguing game to me is that it could possibly be a letdown look ahead or maybe a game in a weird spot or going somewhere to where it could be a trap game. That's what I mean by like intriguing games.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's for I could probably say the same. Like probably for me, it's yeah, you have like those spots, but also I look at once that like things fall a certain way that they could like create important situations for Iowa State. Maybe some background, like and things like that, future implications, and among those lines. That's probably what I would look at too. Is just what does the game like? What's like intriguing about it right now, and also what it could potentially have on like the season, the impact on the season. hmm So yep. So just to give a quick rundown, I know the schedule's been out for a while, but kind of give a refresher of what the full Iowa State football schedule is. Iowa State starts the first year under head coach Jimmy Rogers on September 5th when they host Southeast Missouri State or Southeast Missouri Redhawks or SEMO. And then September 12th, this will be a night game at Kinnick Stadium for the Cyhawk series against Iowa. So that will be on NBC. So it'll be nationally televised on NBC and streaming on Peacock. And then the third non-con game will be against Bowling Green back at Jack Trice Stadium. And then conference play, you kick off conference play with two home games in a row against the preseason number 18th ranked Utah Ute, and then homecoming against West Virginia. I did forget to mention that as of right now, Iowa is ranked number 19 in the preseason. Well, this is from FB schedules, so other people may have it
Yes.
ranked that way, but that's where I'm looking at for reference. And then for the first conference road game of the year, this will be a Friday Night Lights type of game, and it's Big
Mm-hmm.
12 after dark, where it is Iowa State traveling to Lavelle Edwards Stadium to take on the 12th ranked BYU Cougars, and then it's the bye week for Iowa State, and then they'll hit the second half of their schedule at Arizona in Tucson on the 24th of October, and then come back home on Halloween against Oklahoma State. That'll be the first home game for Iowa State since since October 3rd. So about 4 weeks. So it's going to be a bit of a road trip for Iowa State Cyclones, and then Iowa State will head down to Waco on November 7th to take on Baylor. come back up to Jack Trice Stadium for a home game against Cincinnati on the 14th. Then the second of two Friday night games, and this one will be at the Bounce House against UCF, and then Senior Day to end the year on November 28th. That will be Farmageddon, and as of right now, currently standing, the last scheduled Farmageddon game of for the Big 12 between Iowa State and Kansas State.
What a shame. So I guess let's get into it. You just read off the entire schedule. Is there any game right now that is like sort of peeks out at you as a possible intriguing spot?
I think the obvious one here for me would have to be Friday at against B1. I mean, I look at BYU; they're coming off a year where they finished runners up in the conference championship game, in the Big 12 conference championship game, falling short against Texas Tech, and then they went on to win against Georgia Tech in the Pop Tarts Bowl. So keeping the Pop Tarts dynasty alive within the Big 12, but also you have Kalani Sitake, who is one of the best coaches in the Big 12, and you also return Barrett Bachmeier, uh, was who was a really good quarterback and really emerged during his freshman campaign. So I'm really excited to see how much he has progressed since this freshman year, and looking at maybe some of the surrounding, because I believe he's not gonna have Parker Kingston this year.
Yeah, no, he won't.
So I'm curious to see who's going to step up in his absence, and I also believe that and I also believe, does LJ Martin return this year?
LJ Martin is back. Yes.
Okay, so that's going to be helpful for Barrett Bachmeier in the backfield. LJ Martin was a really good piece in the backfield for BYU in their campaign last year. So kind of looking at BYU as maybe being obviously the second best team in the Big 12 behind Texas Tech, which I think is no surprise. But this is gonna be, like, I'd say, outside of obviously Iowa, and I'll get to them a little later. But this will be probably the big test on the road in the Big 12, because if there's one place that I know everybody likes to talk about as this like folklore type of deity is Lavelle Edwards at night. And Iowa State, they experienced that in 2023, and that was a whole different roster, a whole different coaching staff. But Iowa State did go walk into Lavelle Edwards Stadium at night and piss pounded BYU 45-14. That was the final score. But a whole different. But to think in 3 years' time, you have completely different rosters and completely different trajectories for both teams.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane to me. So I think that to go off of this, I think that this game is an intriguing game because you look at the date and it's a Friday night game, so you basically got to come off of the homecoming game, and then you had to go on a short week and get ready for BYU. So honestly, depending on what this team's record is after this game, this could be crucial because let's say they struggle a bit, and let's say somehow they lose at home and they're 2-3. I mean, this Friday game, let's say they're 2-3. I mean it could be a good morning, good evening, and good night if we lose to BYU and we're 2-4 going into the bye week, because the vibes will be off, and then you'll sort of be like, okay, this season could get very, very ugly.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look at it this way, and let's look at it from the other side. Let's say you go through, and you beat Utah, and you're 4-0, and let's say you beat West Virginia, you're 5-0. Then that BYU game has a lot of you know, it could basically be an elimination game early in the year, basically to see who would play Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game. That could be a possible elimination game. Honestly, we don't know, but I think just to me, that's an intriguing game, just based on the fact that you're coming off of a short week, and not to mention you're already staring a bye week in the face. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a game where the Cyclones definitely need to be a focus going into the bye
Yep.
week.
Yeah, and that's I think that's where maybe like you potentially, yeah, you have a bye week, but yeah, you still have a game to focus on, and that's on the Iowa State side of things. And you mentioned possibly being 5-0. There is a real possibility that before this bye week, like if the cards fall right and Iowa State is able to take care of Simone Bowling Green and then get the win over Iowa, and we know how like that's gonna be. That's just gonna
Mm-hmm.
be another right down the wire. They get the win there, and then they somehow find a way to pick off Utah and take care of West Virginia. Yeah, you could be staring at potentially upsetted minded team. And I mean, that's probably where I think a lot of fans are probably going to have the team expected at the end of the year. 5-7 will probably be, or 4-8, 5-7 will probably be the expectation, I think, on the year one. But if you already achieved the 5 wins before you even get to November, that would
Right.
already be a major win of the books. And getting that win at Lavelle, like that would be a statement made. That like this is this is a team that's not it's not a new like it's a kind of a way it's like it's a kind of a reborn type of deal where it's like we're not fully dead. Might have been dead, but we still wrote like it's kind of like a reborn type of deal where it's like we're not like rebuilding, it's reloading type of deal, I guess you could say. That's one way to put it.
Yeah. And not to mention, Cody, this is a sort of a letdown look ahead situation for BYU because the
Yeah.
next week they play Notre Dame at
Yeah.
home. So
That's exactly
BYU
what I was gonna
is
say.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and also, I mean, Iowa State sandwiched in between BYU going to Fort Worth to take on TCU and then having that game against Notre Dame. So BYU will also have that short week. Granted, they do get the opportunity to play it at home, but yeah, they cannot like even look at Notre Dame. I think they're gonna obviously have that one circled easily, but that doesn't make because they're also coming off a bye week 2 weeks on the 26th. So they're going to
Mhm.
have TCU and Iowa State and then have that Notre Dame game. And yeah, BYU overlooks Iowa State in any way, shape, or form. Iowa State, they've proven time and time again that you don't overlook them. So there's a great like this could be a pretty good spot for Iowa State to get a signature win in year one.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go to my next game that I can find very interesting, and I think this is another one that could possibly be the flip either way. This UCF game on the 20th, it screams like trap game. I'm telling you because you look at this schedule, and let's see, you're 5 games in, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's say on the low end, Iowa State is 5-5 at this point
Hmm.
going to the schedule. I mean, then you got to go to UCF and playing that at 6 p.m. on a Friday night. That scares the heck out of me, to be honest. And it's right before an emotional spot against K State at home. And I mean, the pressure, especially if you're going in there 5-5, like it could be like, man, like that's sort of at that point it's sort of like a must win because what you don't want to happen is you do not want that K-State game to be for bowl eligibility and you're going into that game 5-6. But on the other end, let's say Iowa State is having their absolute is having like an absolute dream season out of nowhere and let's say they have like one loss going in, then I could see this being a trap game because this could be like, okay, you know what? We got K State next week. It'll be a breeze against UCF. Then that UCF could this is the type of game that UCF wins, and I don't think that this is the space game, but this is going to be a game right before a rivalry spot, and these are the games usually that unfocused teams lose pretty quickly.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I mentioned we were going over this that this wouldn't I would presume this wouldn't be I would presume this wouldn't be the space game. Actually, I'm seeing it now. UCF has announced the space game to be against Baylor on October 30th. So Iowa State will not
Got
have to
it.
worry about that. But it's just a senior night thing for UCF. So I mean, I don't know how many times you're used to Iowa State having their senior nights. I don't know how many times you've seen Iowa State had their senior night spoiled. Because I think in recent last couple years, we haven't had our senior nights spoiled.
No, we've won usually on our senior nights, so
I
we
think
got to keep that streak alive.
yeah. It was only I think the last one we had spoiled was Texas in 23, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, because that was right before Snowmageddon, excuse me. But yeah, Iowa State's track record, senior nights. It's such a niche and sicko thing to think about. But it's like, you know, it's gonna like be like, yeah, now we're gonna be the ones that try to spoil your senior night. That I think that could be a little bit of fun. That could be a little bit of fun. Sorry, seniors, but you're not getting the win off of our hands. And I think we're going for the jugular, and that was something I know too. And we'll probably maybe talk about this a little later, but like the some of the recent media appearances from Jimmy Rogers and some of the quotes that have come out within the last few days from him, that it's a mentality thing, and I absolutely believe it. So if we go into that game and we know for sure that we can go in there and spoil the party, like, and we're gonna say we're going to spoil the party, I think we can go into UCF and spoil their party.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's all a mindset thing. That game, like I said, to begin with, really interests me. So and then I'm gonna go into my third game. My third game that I'm very intrigued in is obviously Cyhawk. Cyhawk against Iowa. I mean, I guess like a lot like it's funny because we talked about this game. Me and Alec talked about this game, and he thinks that like this game in the grand scheme of things doesn't really mean anything because he said that it really won't show how good we are if we, if we get killed by them. But he's also said on the other side, if we beat Iowa, that's probably still won't mean anything. But I don't know. I think this is like a measuring stick game for
And it
us, and this is really gonna show like where this program how like a Jimmy Rogers team goes against a physical team like Iowa because we've seen and Iowa State has, been able to figure out Iowa throughout of the last 4 years. And obviously Iowa is due to win one at home since they haven't won a Cyhawk game at home since 2018. So they're due. But yeah, this September 12th matchup really, really has me intrigued.
mhm. And then yeah, so as announced by the Hawkeyes social media like a couple weeks ago, I believe this game sold out. I mean, it's I'm not surprised. Like
Oh
this
yeah.
game being a night game on national television, I'm not surprised this game is sold out. So like it being on NBC, I that's such a big national station. I'm not used to seeing, them being like for like this to be a night game. It's so weird. Like I'm not used to this. But you know what? It's a nice thing. It's a nice feeling. It's a nice little change of pace for us. And like I said, I guarantee you the tailgates are going to go absolutely nuts. Like
There's gonna
we're
be
gonna have
fights
we're gonna have
everywhere.
people, whether it's Iowa students, Iowa State fans. Like I don't know. I don't know how many my friends that are still at Iowa State are gonna try to go to that game. If they do, good luck. And don't try to get yourself. I don't know what like the worst case scenario for like what would happen. You probably get dunked somewhere. Oh god, I thought of something dark. Just don't. And I'm gonna refrain from what I was thinking. But yeah, NBC like the NBC Peacock kind of stage. Big opportunity. And yeah, you mentioned the measuring stick. I think it's maybe not for the team itself, but it's more for like the fan. I think this is more for the fan base's psyche. It's more about that, I
Yeah.
think, is what I think this game is going to represent more for. It is going to have a bigger impact for them. Not the team itself. Well, I mean, they obviously know for sure how important this game is, and they're obviously going to be, focused and like locked in on it. But you know how it obviously goes when it comes to Cyhawk. Like, people are gonna try to downplay, especially Iowa fans are gonna try to downplay all the time, but you just know that's drought of winning at home against Iowa State, it's eating them up on the inside. You know how
Well, that's
bad
the
they want,
yeah.
like, it's gonna eat them up, and I'm okay with bringing it up, and until they do it, we're gonna keep bringing it up, and I mean, what, we got about 2 months or so the countdown's on, and I guarantee you, like, how this game is gonna go down, I don't is it gonna be another one of those cases where it's like down the wire? And I've said this before. I legitimately think it's the first team that gets what what would you say is probably like the barometer's first team to how many points?
Well, the last time we won there, it was first team to 20. So I gotta say it's first team to 17 because like, but I will say the only thing is that like the last time Tyler Rowe played at was coordinating at in Iowa City, they won, and North Dakota State won 23-21. So I mean, somewhere around 20 points, somewhere between 17 to 20 points is gonna get it done. But like, I I don't know. But the good thing is that we don't have any pressure. All of the pressure is on Iowa. Plus, isn't Iowa like a double digit favorite right now? I
Go
thought,
check.
or maybe I was
I
wrong about that.
I would assume so. I mean, with Iowa, you like the talk is all about like Klinsky and things like that. So, I mean, well, I mean, the outlook for them is they want to get back. Like, I mean, not just that, but as like in the Big Ten, like looking at like at their like the rest of their schedule. I mean, they got a lot of games ahead of them. So, I think for them, this is probably one where it's like it's nice to have under the belt, but they're gonna have some pretty hefty teams to go up against at Michigan, against Ohio State, in Iowa City, and then at Washington. So looking at that, like that 3 game stretch. So I think for Iowa, I think for our Iowa fans, it might be they may not say it, but deep down, they want to hope that they absolutely kill Iowa State because it means that they can go out there and be competitive against Michigan, get the win over Ohio State, and then potentially win at Washington. Because I think that's what that's going to do. And maybe that doesn't translate necessarily to like, transitive property and things like that. But I generally think the psyche, I think, for both fan bases is there, and especially for Iowa, because if they can't get it done against Iowa State, then the confidence is just going to really be sunk.
Especially against a first year team. Like if they lose to a first year Jimmy Rogers coach team, like the confidence of Iowa State fans will be way, 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 way up.
Yeah.
Now in the
Yeah,
grand scheme of things, now in the
I'm
grand scheme of things, it doesn't like it like for the season, like it doesn't mean the season's over. Not, but if we go in there and then we win again with Jimmy Rogers, and then Conradi kicks another a game-winning field goal, like we'll be able to clown Iowa. We'll be like, man, you got even with a new coach, you still can't beat us.
New coach, same results. And what's funny, you mentioned Kyle
Exactly.
Conradi. I think, well, was it Kyle Conradi? It was having a kicking camp or whatever. He was at some like off-season camp, and the number that Kyle Conradi was given coincidentally was 54. I saw that. I'm like,
I love
no,
it.
no, that is the most perfect coincidence. And yeah, you mentioned the odds. -12. Iowa is a 12.5 point favorite. According to our sponsor FanDuel. So yeah, thank you very much for that. But yeah, 12.5 is the spread in favor of the Hawkeyes. The over under is 41.5. I'm surprised it's even that high
Bet the under. Bet the
as
under.
usual.
I think. Well, here. So I think their reasoning is that they think that Iowa State's going to get killed in that game. So that's probably what they probably think it's going to be like a 2016 all over again when we lose 42 to
The
3.
42-3
Yeah,
absolute shelling. Or was it 20 or was that 2018 that we got
that was
killed?
2016. We lost 14. We couldn't score. We lost 14-6. And no, it was, yeah, no, it was 14 something. We like they barely scored, but we couldn't score because our offense was hot garbage that week.
Who would have thought that offense, like against Iowa, would be the same offense that would? Oh, it was I think it was 13-3. It was.
That's what it was. Yeah, 13-3. Our offense was garbage because I think Zeb Nolan started.
Yep. Yep. And then, I mean, to think that was the year we then go to a guy named Brock Purdy, who I'm going to acknowledge it right now. He never beat Iowa, but we got 2 shots at it. So take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, I mean, who would have thought that 2018 year we would go from only scoring 3 points against Iowa to absolutely piss pounding the number 6 West Virginia.
Yeah, there was that 2018 was a magical season.
That was a fun year, honestly.
It
That's
was.
such a retrospective way of going. But yeah, Cyhawk obviously is going to be at the top of everybody's calendar, especially here in the state of Iowa. And yeah, I don't know. And then we'll see what happens. And I don't know if I'm able to, I might just say screw it and go out to Iowa City, tailgate for a couple hours. Who knows? Maybe go find a bar somewhere over there to watch the game.
Yeah. And then we go into our Well, yeah, this is my fourth most intriguing game. I think it's going to be the Halloween game against Oklahoma State because right here you are going to be able to at this point we'll know what a Jimmy Rogers coach team looks like against pretty good competition because by this time we'll play you what by this time we'll have played three big games: Iowa, BYU, and Utah, and we'll see where they are by this time. And then this is coming off of a road trip to Arizona. So really, really seeing what this defense looks like against this offense for Oklahoma State, which is this is the North Texas team that torched Washington State last year. So I know a lot of the Washington State defensive guys have revenge on their mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So and Jimmy Rogers, yeah, he's gonna remember. Yeah, Drew Mesdemick. Yeah, I'm gonna go try to find that team. So find that team who won the American Conference, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So they won. Oh no, they lost to Tulane. That's right. But that was a really
Yeah,
fun year. Honestly, that was actually a pretty fun North Texas team to watch. And
yes,
I
it
was thinking,
was.
do you think they win the American and they go to the like? Obviously, they would assumably take the place of Tulane.
If they yeah, unfortunately by that time like everybody was gone. But if they probably would have said they probably would have won against Tulane, but Tulane was already like a wagon, and they had Amaya
Hmm.
Hayes who was on that team.
Yep. So a lot of familiar faces, but a lot of familiar foes. Yeah. Yeah. 59-10 was the final score in that game. So I don't know how to like. Obviously, taking that, like you try to understand. But I mean, looking in that game, obviously for North Texas, Drew Mestamaker, 24-29, 211 yards with 4 touchdowns. But you did have Carter Paps get 3 receptions for 65 yards. So you did have somebody, like you did have a familiar face named for Iowa State produced for Washington State against North Texas. So who knows? Maybe Carter Pass might have like something he can like tell the rest of the guys and maybe get that understanding of what they need to do for that game. And I mean, it's not for what like it was the 5 turnovers that really killed
Exactly. Yeah, that
them.
was that
But
was that was the kicker.
yeah, but again, you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna have that with a guy like Jalen Raynor. I don't think Jalen Raynor is gonna give cough up the ball or throw 5 interceptions. So that's a different thing. And then yeah, so 64 rushing yards, so not too great for a total of 275. So this game obviously is intriguing. Two different, I mean, two very teams that are in like basically the same situation is how you best look at this. But yeah, Halloween. I wonder, does Oklahoma State bring back those Halloween uniforms or was it the orange and black like striped uniforms that looked like Halloween? I need to find that uniform real
I
quick.
sort of wonder what Iowa State's going to be wearing in this game because I think it honestly depends what Iowa State's record is going in because it'll be hold on let me count one, that'll be their seventh game, so I think it's really going to depend on the vibes. I
Yeah,
think they probably wear black jerseys if it's like,
yeah,
let's say they're like 5-1, maybe
hmm
4-2,
yeah. So
but
these were
probably
the
if they're
jerseys I was
500
looking at.
then
So this is
they probably will just wear
these are what I
cardinal.
was referring to. It's kind of it looks like what was it, those candy corns or whatever? That's what that kind of looks like.
Yeah, definitely.
So and this is we're assuming that Iowa State doesn't go ahead and like wear their black uniforms, but we'll see. I'm thinking, yeah, I guess with that
If
line,
that, yeah, if that were any game to be the way, that will probably be the game that we wear black jerseys. It's Halloween.
yeah. And speaking of like real quick, those black jerseys, man. If only we could just have those black jerseys, but like we redesign, like we change the design and we'll actually like incorporate the red and gold because I think that's something that I still want to see is just if we're gonna do these black
Yeah,
and white, yeah, black uniforms, you gotta at least get the trims of our school colors on. So have like the shoulder stripes be cardinal and gold. Yeah, two like I'm thinking this is what I'm thinking. So replace. Let me see if I can find a picture of the Iowa State black uniforms real quick. Let's see. So let's see. So I'm just gonna use this picture as a as a reference for those. Well, I'm hoping I can't even pull it up. But anyway, so I'm thinking do these uniforms, but then yeah. So so these uniforms, but have cardinal stripes here, gold stripes right here, and then I'm thinking make these colors gold. Would you say?
Yes,
And then would you make the Iowa State gold or would you make that red? Because I'm
I probably would make the Iowa State yellow with red outline.
okay. Yeah, we're trying to beat the allegations here of obviously like, we're not trying to look like here. I don't want to have that perception going again. And also return the stripe down like the side of the pants. That's something I would
Yes.
love to see too. Okay.
Or if you don't want to be like them, then you could just do the Jack Tri stripes in cardinal and gold on the side of the helmets. That'd be pretty sick. And then maybe you put, let's say you do red numbering or lettering with yellow outline, and that would be pretty sick. So there's ways that you can incorporate it. So
I think what you could do, you could do the like the white uniforms, the red numbers with the gold trim, or like the red uniforms with the white and gold.
right, exactly.
Yeah. So just add a little. Just all you need to do for these black uniforms is just add a little bit of like actual cardinal and gold, and then boom,
Mm-hmm.
you should be set. But
Right.
yeah, that Halloween game, we'll see, and I'm curious. I can't wait to see what time that will be because if it's like something, if we somehow find a way to make it a night game, that would be great.
Yeah, honestly, it's really gonna depend on what Iowa State's season is looking like. If Iowa State's decent, which we expect them to, that game will probably be at 2:30. If not, that will probably be an 11 a.m. game, to be honest. But if Iowa State's halfway decent or they're better than what we think, then that game has a possibility to either be 6 p.m., probably either 6 p.m. on Fox or maybe a 6 p.m. on ESPN.
You assume that like even pushing the game back to 11 a.m. How many are gonna make it after who knows what we're doing for the night before Halloween parties on Friday night?
God, yeah, it's gonna be insane.
Oh,
That
that's
that
gonna
game that game's gonna be a crap show, dude. I'm telling you now. And then I think,
I expect
but
fireworks if there's no expect fireworks in this game because I don't know how the
yeah,
defenses are going to be because I think we're just going to see a whole like games like this where like you have no idea what like the teams are. I would just assume you're not going to see that much defense and you're just going to see just fireworks all over the place. So I would circle this game as one that you could just see a lot of scores, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of field goals, just like there's no, basically little defense in this one, and that's no
right.
disrespect to the Iowa State defense, but I think if Iowa State can match the tempo that is the Oklahoma State or slash North Texas team,
Hmm.
you could find yourselves in probably one of the sleeper games of that of the Halloween weekend.
Yeah, and I think so. This is the last game we're gonna talk about, or if you have any other games you want to talk about. But for me, that my the fifth most intriguing game, I think is gonna be at Arizona. Obviously, the reason why I say at Arizona is because just in the previous era, in the previous coaching staff, Iowa State struggled coming out of the gate, coming off of bye weeks. So, and Arizona is coming off of having a really, really good year. And I believe they were picked third in the Big 12 preseason polls. So, and there's going to be a lot of Cyclone fans at this game. They have a decent amount of alumni in Arizona. There's probably a lot of Iowa people that live in Arizona. So, and I will be at this game. I'm going. This is the away game that I'm going to. So for me, I think just we're trying to see, and I don't know what Coach Rogers' teams look like after the bye week when he was at Washington State or at South Dakota State, but we're gonna see if it's either gonna be the same thing with this staff, with them not being able to come out stronger during bye weeks, or seeing if the tide will change. So that's why this game is intriguing to me.
Yeah, and I mean, the same thing is what's funny is like Iowa State comes off a bye week, but so does Arizona. So who knows how Arizona is going to like be because I mean they're coming from going to a trip out to Morgantown, and we know how weird things get.
Oh,
We know how weird things get when you go to Morgantown. They're gonna have 2 weeks off after that game, so maybe by then they'll have a. I mean, the bye week is probably a perfect spot for actually both teams, considering both teams are coming off road games
definitely.
and then the bye week. So it's kind of a fun one, I think. Yeah, Arizona. I expect them to continue like doing what they did. Yeah, build off of last year and give like was it third year Brett Brennan. I
Yeah,
think a lot of magic can be made down in Tucson. So, yeah, and you mentioned a bunch of Iowa State alum down in Arizona. Who knows? If we have enough down there, we could somehow turn that game into maybe a 60-40 or like or 70-30 split.
Jack Tri Southwest.
Somehow, some way, we find a way to do so. But yeah, so I think that will probably be like within the conference. So, and then I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and just throw this one out. Obviously, Farmageddon. There's no other way. You can't. We can't.
Yeah,
We can't have a conversation about Iowa State football without bringing up Farmageddon. And mentioned it
man.
before. The last Farmageddon scheduled, at least for the foreseeable future, which still to me makes no damn sense. And I never understood why we didn't get that. But well, now with the whole news of like the new Iowa State AD, maybe just there's a sliver of hope that maybe whoever this new AD is, if it comes in on time, might have the power to go ahead and bring back Farmageddon. That's all I ask for. If there's one thing that I want back, like constantly for football, it's Farmageddon. There's no reason these teams should not be like continuously playing each other. It makes no sense.
Yeah, correct. It there. Yeah, honestly, and this game could either mean nothing or this game. Like honestly, this could be the start of something new with Kyle and Klein being here, and this is also just going to be a spot to see where you are against your peers because there are a lot of new coaches in this conference and with Colin Klein going back to his alma mater. So, with K State, they're going to be in year one as well. So it's basically sort of a measuring stick to see where you stack up with K State. So really, really should be an interesting season. If you don't have any other ones, we can stop it right.
Yeah, I think that's it for the. I think for the like for right now. I think at least schedule wise. So that's scheduled out and already. So I think a lot of talk is going to be about that. But I mean, kind of going back to like, I mean, keeping the topic on football. I mean, this past Thursday, our good friends over at a Cyclone Fanatic, they had done a full kind of 2 hour plus interview with Jimmy Rogers and Ross Watson, the passing game coordinator, and I mean, it was Jake Brennan, Levi Stevenson. So those guys spent 2 hours talking with them, trying to talk about kind of kind of hyping up the season here. And this was kind of a quote. This was kind of a short like thing from Ross Watson when he was asked about like his opportunity to learn from Hall of Fame defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau when it comes to his coaching career. This is from that video and the snippets up on Cycle Fanatics Twitter page, YouTube page. You can find them there. This kind of like short phrase, it's kind of the short excerpt. Ross Watson talking about Dick LeBeau. This guy's one of the best coordinators in NFL history, and he just said, "I don't know if this is going to work, but here's what I need. I need you to give it your best shot. Try on the field. I need you to tell me what works, what doesn't, what needs to be changed, and what needs to be fixed." So hearing that, I mean, this is one of those things like this is very refreshing, I think, to hear and like hearing just how open the staff is. It's a very nice thing to have. And like but them being open, like not knowing like what the level of uncertainty, I think that's maybe part of like why this could be a fun year for Iowa State. You have a bunch of
Yeah,
these unknowns, you don't know what's going to work, what doesn't, but it's just bringing everybody along the way. And then from the Jimmy Rogers side of thing, he mentioned kind of talking about like how the roster was built, and we knew as soon as that got brought up, we knew a lot of things were going to be talked about in relation to like the Penn State. But obviously, everybody left for Iowa State, went to Penn State, and Rogers kind of just, in short, kind of explained that yeah, the decision was like he doesn't let those emotions, and obviously some of those like Iowa State guys who wanted to stay, but just weren't able to fill out a spot, and you knew how much of that turnover was, and that's just the impact of like student athletes. And when like a coach you've known for so long decides to go to a different place, but you don't know if you would make it with them and things like that. And
Right.
and then Jimmy Rogers comes in and he lays it out straight for him. It's just one of those things where it's a very tough decision, but that's kind of why he got coaching. And I mean, that's just what these players came into and they understood it. So it's nice seeing just how transparent this whole thing is and this whole process was. So I that's again just openness and willingness to talk about like these things was something we missed the last 10 years. So now having that,
Yeah.
and then I think this quote here, I think is going to resonates well with a lot of Iowa State fans. You have to be willing to suffer to get to a place that you can find true joy. And I mean, that's not just in football, but just in general
Mhm.
life things that, but you know, that's where I think if things can go right for this Iowa State team, could be a very could be a very special year. Like bookmark this right now. Things fall right. Iowa State, we find a way. Like we fought, and I mean, Jimmy Rogers being like the only guy to put Iowa State in, like to win the Big 12. I think that's a show of confidence. And Jimmy Rogers said this too. If I don't vote for myself, why should my players do so? So I think that's just in a way of Jimmy
Yes.
saying like he's leading by example, and that's a very nice thing to like. That's a very great thing to see. So who
Right, and
knows?
he also even said, like, "Will that happen? It really just it's up to the players." So,
Hmm.
that's his expectation for them, but it's up to the players for them to get
Me,
to that expectation.
yeah. And also, I think too, there's that level of respect that Jimmy Rogers has for Kalani Sitake, considering that Jimmy Rogers selected BYU to be the opponent Iowa State would be in the Big 12 title game.
Well, honestly, that's what we thought the Big 12 title game was gonna be in 2024, and until Kansas went on that crazy run for, like, a good 3 or 4
The,
weeks.
their version of the Linsanity run, I'm like, dear,
Yes, yeah,
they basically turned the conference upside down in the span of what was it? Yeah, 3 weeks.
in
Because
3 weeks, yeah,
let's see,
because they were
they
2 and
beat
6.
yep
They killed us. They beat
in Arrowhead.
Colorado and Arrowhead, and then
It's
oh,
and
yeah,
then
they beat
they
BYU at
beat
BYU.
BYU in Provo. Imagine tell somebody about like that in like 15 years time. Where were you when that random like as tell like these people who watch college football? Where were you when that random run of Kansas football happened? Where they're having an absolute disaster year. They just suffered yet another heartbreaker against Kansas State in the Sunflower State. Yeah, yeah, Sunflower State showdown. Yep, and then they go on to beat all three top contenders for the Big 12, and it opens the door for Arizona State to sneak in there.
Well, yeah, just talk about Arizona State that year. Arizona State, as you know, in the preseason was picked to finish last, and they ended up winning the title and putting belt to us in the Big 12 title game.
The images of Cam Scatterboo running all over our duct tape and glued defense.
Yeah, I don't even wanna I
I
was at
think
that
the
game.
listen, if you shut that game,
That game gives me nightmares,
yeah,
dude.
as an Iowa State fan, like all you got to do is just watch the first quarter, and then you just shut the rest of the game off, and everything else. Just watch the first quarter. But listen. After that game, it did suck. We didn't win the title, but you know what? I'll take winning the Pop Tarts Bowl and beating Miami. Yes, like Cam Ward did not play the full game, but he still played a whole half, and I think that's a sizable sample size to go up against. And again, Iowa State. Matt Campbell 2-0 against Mario Cristobal, and then Miami goes on to play in the national championship the next year. So I mean, yeah. So and then back to the Kansas run. What's funny is that was 3 of the 4 because this was a 4 week stretch actually for Kansas in this 2024 year
That is true,
of
yeah.
4 ranked teams against number 16 Kansas State, number 17 Iowa State, number 6 BYU, and then number 16 Colorado.
Mhm.
I don't know what Kansas was on, but whatever they were, we might need that because I'm looking at these games, like looking at the games here. The yards, like I mean, at least for Iowa State, given a 532 yards total offense, that's not great. And then
Yeah,
200, 300 passing yards and 2 touchdowns for Jalen Daniels, and then Devin Neal with 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then the BYU game will always be so intriguing. Is how did BYU not like? They generally shot themselves in the foot so many times in that game.
Yeah, who is their oh, it was Jake Reslov.
Yep. Yep. And then Colorado, that was such an up and down like thing. But I mean, the Jayhawks got out to a good start and they never looked back. I think is what I could best describe that game. Yeah, they controlled possession in that game. 40 minutes possession time for them.
40 minutes possession time, and then they ended up just looking like complete garbage against Baylor and got destroyed, and didn't make a bowl game and finished 5-7.
Kansas went right back down to the mean.
Right. All right, Cody. We are going to end it there today. Thank you for hopping on with me. That is your show today, guys. We just wanted to take a look at the schedule. We'll talk about the most intriguing games on the schedule. A few things before we go. If you want to find us on Twitter, Cody can be found at Tia Propaganda. If you want to find me on Twitter, I can be found at SideTieGuy1992. And also, we want to thank our sponsor, FanDuel. Right now, we are in the dead of baseball season, so you can make your bets with FanDuel. And also, lastly, follow us on social media. Follow what we're doing on there. Follow us. We have 6 different forms: Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch. Thank you for the people that have been tuning in on Twitch. The Believe in ISU handle, or the Believe in ISU channel, is on the account name is under Believe in ISU 2025. That is going to be your show today. For Tyler Carter
and for Cody Vansylalom,
this is the Believe in Iowa State podcast. Roll Clones, baby.
Go Cyclones.